Good morning, sunshines. Good morning, sweet pies. Good morning, everyone. So, yeah, I'm kind of sleepy, but yeah, let's go. So, basically, want to talk about what things would I be different to heal Lyme disease if I knew it from the very start, what it actually was, and my goodness me, I would change the whole thing. First of all, at the very beginning, the problem with all these diseases is that we do not know what's happening to us at the beginning, which delays the treatment, which delays our actions, which makes and creates a lot of confusion and so on. So, to start with, um, when I started at the very beginning, I thought I had ME or, myalgic and cell whatever, chronic fatigue syndrome, or all that kind of thing. And then when I was kind of recovering and then suddenly things exploded, then I thought, oh shit, this is kind of, I guess, Lyme disease or whatever thing is going on. So this is the only thing I knew for sure. So I started researching and and I did everything backwards, to be honest, because you start with one thing and then I was studying 24/7 and I'm glad I did because later on when it went, it went basically straight into the nervous system, brain inflammation. I couldn't do that. So I'm glad I had to live this in two phases. I mean, I'm not glad, but you know what I mean. At least I had time to study to understand that it doesn't matter what label you have. It doesn't matter if it's called, whatever thing. What you need to do is going to be more or less the same thing. So, I wish I understood this better. I mean, the first thing is first, which is get yourself out of toxicity, emotional toxicity, um, you know, uh, clean your environment, because it's going to be almost impossible to do that or to heal in a place that actually made you sick. And I'm talking as well about the people around you and that kind of thing. It's really important. This was the first thing I realized, right? I also have chemical sensitivities. I need to get the hell out of here. And obviously, chemical sensitivities means my liver is going to explode at some point. So I need to do something. This was like the first thing. Second one was diet. At the time, I thought, obviously, when you come from, let's call normal, which are not normal diets, really processed crap, all these things had to go out of the window, away forever. So it took me 9 years for all this. I mean, I'm doing a very shortcut here, but yeah, I mean, I realized as well there was something happening with histamine, which I didn't understand at the time. Obviously, it was mast cell activation syndrome. And so, just removing the crap from my diet already cleared a ton of stuff. But the damage was already done. I mean, it was not so easy. Maybe if you're not so sick, doing a very few things like that is gonna cause massive improvement. But yeah, this is, I mean, the number one would be this: change your place, clean your environment. I mean, it's not something that you have a choice. um I mean, basically, obviously, it seemed impossible for me, for the circumstances. I don't have this, I don't have but there has to be a way. You have to think always that there has to be a way, because the impossible is no longer possible. you know you are no longer able to tolerate these things. So, if you are unable to breathe and you need oxygen, you're gonna need that oxygen or you die. It's not like you can choose like before. So it's the same kind of thing. So yeah, obviously that's gonna be harder and not depending on circumstances, but it has to be done. It's incredibly important. Same with the diet, insulin resistance. It's really important as well to actually watch for this and stop many times when we change diets, from, I'm talking about really processed diets like I was like a decade ago or something like this. um, you think that it's enough already to eat quinoa and those kind of things, which, yeah, but they are grains. They're going to inflame you anyway. And if you are very inflamed, I would get rid of all this stuff as well. In my case, until I didn't do a kind of keto diet, I didn't get a lot better and well. My gut couldn't tolerate carbs, vegetables. I was just constantly bloated like a balloon. It didn't make any sense. yeah, these things are healthy, same as fruit can be healthy, but when you have insane inflammation, gut inflammation, and you're constantly having gas pain and bloated, and stop it with this, because they're only going to cause fermentation and inflammation. And so turning into a keto diet, which later on, when the inflammation was insane, I turned into a carnivore for a bit, and also leaving my liver intermittent fasting, like from midday to the next day, let's say. This basically saved my life. This has been huge. I still do have mast cell inflammation, everything else is over, but I come from a brutal place. You would not believe the state I was in. You just wouldn't believe. And unfortunately, I do believe it's more to do with a crash in your immune system that basically flares all the infections that we actually have. So it's not like we are healthy walking around and a tick comes and bites you, and then you're sick as hell and you lose your brain and your body. And it's not like that. I mean, at least for me, what I believe, my immune system crashed from years of toxicity, a gut that was never right from birth, I guess. Um, Many other things, and my job and toxins and so on, stress, and yeah, which messed up hormones. That's why I started with a fibroid coming from the same inflammation and so on. So when I understood that, things changed, because it was no longer a battle between me and my body, between, I have to kill all the bugs in my body and get rid of them and so on. It was no longer like that. It was more to do with, right, I need to bring back equilibrium. How do I bring back equilibrium, right? um, so with these things, change the place you live, change the people you live with. um, I mean, there is no other way around it. Yeah, the difficulties in creating these ecosystems, and I understand, because it was, and it's been really hard for me to kind of do it and maintain it, so I can keep the health I have now and get to the point where I'm fully healthy, which I'm still not fully there. That's why it's kind of dangerous in a way. Work with your nervous system. That, like microdosing psilocybin for me was huge. I mean, when I'm saying huge, I mean huge. I'm talking about night and day situation, because Lyme, Bartonella, all these, and the muscle activation syndrome were causing like insane brain inflammation, causing me um 4 years straight of brutal, out of this planet, anxiety, and the insane depersonalization, to the point I didn't even know who I was or where I was. And that was constant, nonstop, all day, all night, like nonstop. The brain power that people need to go through this is just unexplainable. I'm hoping to do a video with effects one day, so you can understand what people that been living this kind of neuroinflammation actually see and live, because it's just, you're not going to believe it. Plus the pain going on. But I think that making a video with the effects is going to make people understand, these sort of symptoms better, because they are unexplainable. But yeah, so the diet, the keto diet, the place and environment, and controlling these toxins and environment and so on, the people you're with, the nervous system, the microdosing psilocybin is what brought back all this, you know inflammation back, and I was back into my body and my nervous system for the first time in, I mean, I've been sick longer. It was like 9 years, right? But the brutal encephalitis nervous system scrap, let's say, was a lot longer. And when I took that in a week, I could finally rest in a way that I have no words. The fight or flight brutal mode that I was in, even though I was exhausted and I couldn't barely move, finally calmed the hell down, and I could rest. So my body, my immune system started working, started clearing stuff, and started, and therefore that was huge. But obviously the situation was so full on, and my cortisol was so fucked up, and in that case it was too low, and then spiking, and then but basically too low, so inflammation was out of control, and hormones. And this has been a huge help for the HPA HPG axis, which also controls hormones. What's left? It's left basically the mast cell activation still, because of the estrogen dominant situation along my liver, not still not processing properly, which I'm working on. And histamine creates a loop with estrogen. So this is what I'm still having trouble with what's still flaring things, which also in women, this age, this old age, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to say that, but yeah, happens. So imagine when someone comes from such a huge inflammation, what happens, right? So yeah, microdosing psilocybin, a clear place with no emotional stuff that could harm you, and a clean environment. Um, and then the microdose psilocybin. These three things alone did more than anything I've done. Um, Obviously, many of us lack more support, which we really need to feel safe, because this has a lot to do with safety. And when it happens in women, we are wired for this kind of safety, no? In man, I see that they do struggle in a different way, but their worries are different. For us, it's more the nervous system is wired to feel safe. So that's why when you lack support, when you need a place to feel safe, when all these things happen, it's really hard to heal from this. And yeah, so things have to be this way, and so on. But also, once things are, you have the minimum to do so, you also need to kind of let go of the control, because we are kind of controllers. And no wonder, we usually have lost everything, everyone, and we are worried that we can fall and get worse every time, even though I'm still not fully there. I don't want to go backwards, so this feeling of so you have to be careful with these things, but not being a control freak. It is like a balance. Again, everything is a balance. Um, at the very start, I would also go for, obviously trying to open the detox pathways as much as you can. And then in the killing part of things, I honestly, I don't see Lyme as a battle that you have to kill everything in your body at all. When things get completely out of control, you can lower these infections a bit. You can kind of, but a bit, not months. I mean, when I see protocols of, I said it many times, like 10 antibiotics or whatever, six, three for a year, 2 years, three. What I mean, this is crazy. This is gonna kill your immune system, not the bugs, and maybe yourself, or maybe make you completely lose your mind from the toxicity and also crash your immune system. So please be careful with this, because I believe it's so badly understood. There are things like LDN, which has been really amazing along the combination I just said before, and I still do and take. So my immune system again. It's all about this and detox, and it takes a bloody long time. It's not going to be overnight. The body's been storing all this toxicity for years, and then again in women we have the inconvenience, the horrible one of having to deal with all this estrogen histamine stuff, which is gonna make things a lot harder, especially when mast cell activation syndrome happens. Yeah, which I'm praying that I can get to the 0 point, and then have support place and so on, so I can maintain it and live without risk. And yeah, so these are the main things. The other one, which is these are things that sound so silly because people want to hear protocols and killing things and so on. And I believe these things that I just said are the most important ones to heal from this. Uh, you know, um, there are people that use ibogaine, that use all the things, microdosing LSD maybe, or other plants. Maybe they do not use this kind of medicine, but they use brain power and talking and other stuff to bring that back into place, or other kind of plants or adaptogenic plants. It's possible, it is, but when situations are extreme like mine was, I think it's incredibly therapeutic also to stop this PTSD from being sick for so long, to use them, no. um and yeah, uh this would be like the main thing. Walking barefoot. We are electric beings. And when we are sick like this, we basically lose our electric charge. and we need it back. And what gives us this electric charge is mainly the sun, walking barefoot in the sun, grounding basically. So this is not a wacky technology. Let's say this is what we as humans have been doing for forever, and at some point we forgot, and it's incredibly beyond important. When you are not too sick, do things that make you happy, whatever the hell it is. um, but you need to feel that joy back into your body, because sometimes we even think that we don't even deserve them, or people makes us feel guilty, or we feel, all this mess. Forget about it. um, but again, we need the minimum so we can do all this at the same time as finding out later on that you also will wake up from a decade long, probably not having a family or kids, or a career, and everything's lost. Yeah, but you're alive. So, build from there, and then it happened for a reason. I keep telling myself at this point, because yeah, I mean, some of us were not meant to live normal lives, let's say. Maybe that was the whole lesson that this had to teach us. And we can build it from here in different ways, and lifestyles that allow us to thrive and never get sick. And I believe as this happens globally, maybe the cases should not be as brutal as mine was, or is. It's not like that anymore, but Um, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, be in the sun, all these things. I understand that when you're incredibly sick, you can't do everything's gonna be slow. Again, it took me 9 bloody years, which I still kind of am in shock about it. And I believe and I want to know that this is not, they were not useless, that they will have a purpose. And I hope I can help other people in different ways, and in any shape or form. That's my main goal in this, along with obviously living myself, and finding a car and how to live and all these things that at the moment I was so busy for so long just surviving that I forgot about. Um, and it's a tough moment too. But yeah, so all these things together are the most powerful things that you can possibly do. I put in the mix all the detox things as well, like coffee enemas, again, walking if you can, jumping if you can. All these things seem like useless. They are not useless, because this and the mindset is what's gonna heal you. The body, again, is designed to heal itself. I truly believe that. It needs some little help here and there, yeah, and help from other people and all I just said, for sure. But eventually who's going to heal you is yourself. So you need to believe that the body is capable of going back into healthy mode, that your body is able to do all this, and that you can actually heal. This is the main thing. Even if you are like I was, unable to even know your name and move an inch of your body, whatever, you need to understand that the body is designed for this. And obviously big pharma told us that no, actually you need us, you need a pill so you can heal, and it's not true. It's just not. I mean, there are tools in nature, in all sorts of ways and forms, that you can actually use to heal, but you can heal. Your body is designed to do this. And yeah, obviously there are many layers into healing Lyme disease and all these kind of diseases, no? Because you're going to have to tackle everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Your emotions, or the people, the place. There are different and many millions of layers of toxins that are going to cause you different symptoms during all the healing process too. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. I hope this was useful in some way or form. And and just basically remember that later on there is a maintenance period, that all this has to be put in place and practice, and it's just as hard. It's hard in a different way, but it's worth it. So keep going and do these little things. And if you can bring your mind into this, you're gonna make it. So thanks for watching. See you next time.